Now, a day after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a massive welcome at the Indian Diaspora Community event in Sydney, it's down to the brass tacks between Prime Minister Modi and Anthony Albanese in Sydney. After the official guard of honour, Prime Minister Modi held a bilateral meeting with his Australian counterpart. Both sides built on the annual Leaders Summit held in New Delhi and discussions at the G7 and Quad leaders meeting in Hiroshima. The leaders discussed trade and investment, people-to-people links, renewable energy and defence and security cooperation.
ऑस्ट्रेलिया में मंदिरों पर होने वाले हमलों और अलगाववादी तत्वों की गतिविधियों के संबंध में हमने पहले भी बात की थी और आज भी हमने बात की है। भारत और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सौहार्दपूर्ण रिश्तों कोई भी तत्व अपने विचारों या अपने एक्शन से आघात पहुंचाए, ये हमें स्वीकार्य नहीं है।
I'm also pleased to announce the establishment of a new Australian Consulate General in Bengaluru, which will help connect Australian businesses to India's booming digital and innovation ecosystem. And I welcome India's plans for a Consulate General in Brisbane.
After attending a business roundtable, the Indian Prime Minister will join Anthony Albanese for dinner. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was cheered on by at least 20,000 fans as he addressed the Indian diaspora in a grand event. Attended by Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, the Olympic Park Arena event attracted Modi supporters from across the nation. In fact, a chartered Qantas flight rebranded as Modi Airways brought in fans from Melbourne, and Modi Express buses were chartered from Queensland. At the event, Albanese said, and I'm quoting here, "The last time I saw someone on the stage here was Bruce Springsteen, and he didn't get the welcome that Prime Minister Modi has got." Dubbing India as a force for global good and a bright spot in the world economy, Prime Minister Modi added that New Delhi and Canberra are working on a comprehensive trade pact. Both India and Australia, strong, vibrant, secular and multicultural democracies. They both have free press, independent judicial system, English language here being an important link. The Australia-India relationship was upgraded to a comprehensive strategic partnership on the 4th of June 2020. In 2021, India was Australia's 6th largest two-way goods and services trading partner and 4th largest goods and services export market. Australian government data further states that two-way goods and services trade with India was over $34 billion in 2021. For more on this, we're now joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, joining us from Sydney. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us. What is the latest on this? What can you tell us of the key highlights of the bilateral?
Well, the consensus is the Indian Prime Minister's visit has strengthened the relationship. And yes, it has. We have seen several symbolism, which includes the diaspora event, but also a lot of outcomes. Earlier today, we saw the mobility pact being signed, terms of reference for green hydrogen being agreed on, and also how both the countries, of course, announced that they are willing to work together to form a new chapter. Now, the Indian Prime Minister emphasized on the role of the diaspora, saying that it's a living bridge between the two countries. And we saw that as well when we were present at that arena where approximately 20,000 members of the Indian diaspora were present and the Indian Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister talked about the camaraderie, the Australian Prime Minister terming the Indian Prime Minister as a boss. But largely, there are certain concerning issues as well. One, of course, has been the attacks on Hindu temples, which was raised publicly by the Indian Prime Minister standing alongside the Australian Prime Minister. Now, that is an important message, but the Indian side also said that they have got assurances from the Australian side regarding this concerning development. But all in all, 2 days of hectic diplomacy from diaspora to convergences on several issues. This will be seen as an important milestone in India-Australia relationship.
Absolutely, Siddhant, there's no doubt about that. That being said, how do you assess the relationship between the two countries in the international realm, given that they're also part of the Quad?
Quad was one of the main areas of conversation earlier today when both the Prime Ministers met. We know that Quad is seen as an important component of Indo-Pacific, which both India and Australia have been terming that should be free and open. Now, the usage of this phrase clearly sends out a message to Beijing, which has been claiming large areas of the region, including South China Sea. But essentially, when it comes to Quad, the focus by both the sides, in fact all the four sides, has been that there is positive agenda for the grouping, which includes scholarships, which includes humanitarian disaster relief, and of course vaccines as well. We saw how during the COVID pandemic the Quad countries came together to distribute vaccines. So essentially the Quad partnership has grown leaps and bounds, and while Australia was to host the Quad summit and it could not happen, it happened in Hiroshima. Focus of course is that how Quad can grow in areas like critical technology, and as India gets ready to host the Quad summit next year, focus will be on more convergences between all four countries including India and Australia.
Right. Well, Siddhant, thank you so much for getting us the latest on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.